I am Agnieszka Wood. Welcome to the Confidence in Trading podcast. Let me introduce my special guest that goes by her official Twitter name, Curlygal Investor. She considers herself a continuous student of trading the markets, and today we want to dive into shedding some light into the realities of trading that aren't traditionally spoken about enough. Welcome to episode number 9, Reality versus Illusion in Trading. Hi, welcome to my show. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here, especially knowing that how much you value your privacy. So thank you so much for coming onto my show.
Thank you so much for having me, Agnieszka. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
And when we met on Twitter, what really struck me right away was the authenticity of your posts. No BS, no puffed up reality, stuff like, hey, look at me, how good I am. Which, in general, it is the tendency of social media. But in trading, that approach can be taken to the extreme, right? And today, I would love to talk with you about exactly that. With all the advertising hype around when you got into trading, did you know how emotional this journey is going to be?
Oh my goodness. Um, really, when I started my Twitter account, that was January of 2021. The purpose was I had a very specific intention set out there. I wanted to record my trades, so kind of like utilizing it as a journal, not my trades but my process. I wanted to kind of like record my process and be encouraging of others, of bringing light to what the opportunities in the market were available, and that this was also available for everybody, right? Because like I mentioned to you before, it was very shocking to me that I was in my mid 30s, and I had never ever come across with anything stock market related. Nobody had educated me about this. I went to school, to college, grad student, and this has never been a theme amongst my peers or professionals of, this is the thing that you can do, right?
Right.
So I wanted to be able to kind of like open up space for others to know that this is a thing, this is something, whether it's investing or the various forms that one can participate in the stock market, that this is something that anyone can do. And whether about the being how emotional this journey can or cannot be, I no I definitely not expect that this could be, I mean, it really depends. It depends, right? How, as when you start growing your discipline, this can become less emotional, right? Because as you start building yourself as a trader, you start building more self-control, and the more self-control you have, I think that the less emotional of a ride.
Right.
But when you don't have those things, it can definitely be a roller coaster. And definitely, I've been there, done that. I've been in both sides of that coin. I did not expect that it will be like that. I thought it will be way, especially trading. I thought that it would be easier, but it's definitely it's a very interesting path.
It's definitely interesting and very challenging. And what is really pretty amazing that you were documenting. Your intention was to document the process, which in general not many traders really focus on. Everyone focuses on the money, on the how am I going to get the right ticker to make the money, but not on the process. So how did you know to do that? Where did you figure out, actually, I think the process is the most important part in that? Did you even think about it, or did it just come up intuitively to you?
I think that because of the previous experience when I first started in 2020 with the investing portion of everything, um, again, it was just so nice to be able to see a portfolio grow and doing certain things with it, and figuring it out, okay, when am I taking profit, the length of what I want this portfolio to be, and not just allowing for the portfolio to grow and then not take any, right? That was very interesting because I actually took, we took profit off of that initial investing. It was a short term, medium term portfolio,
Hmm.
and I knew to take profit. Yet when I transitioned into trading, I started having difficulties with taking profit versus, hey, especially with options can turn on you so quickly, right? And so it was a learning curve, moving into options. But part of what was extremely helpful was that later on 2021 I started working with a mentor.
Hmm.
And so I connected with a person who had been in the market for 20 years, who's been doing this for a very long time successfully. And um, I started learning other things that were extremely necessary for me to be able to, even have a chance
Right.
at trading options. So I think I think that it was like a partially intuitively, thinking of the process. Again, with me being a social worker, I think the process is something that I naturally work on all the time anyways, right? It's just part of my day to day, whether it's with clients or even in my personal life. The process, I'm a process person. I like the journey.
Right.
I don't I'm not just there for the end goal. I love and enjoy the journey. So I do that on a day-to-day basis. So I think it intuitively transferred into what I was doing with trading, and then I added more along the way with my mentor and stuff like that, and my own experience too, because as I walked every day in trading, I was learning. I was learning things, right? I was doing good things, and then I was doing bad things. I was making mistakes, and I was learning from them. So
Yeah, I saw recently a note from you on Twitter where you from your journal, and it said these are the things I did good, and these are the things that I did bad or I did wrong. I don't know exactly how you said it, but it was definitely what can you improve, like evaluating those things is so
yeah,
important. And um,
absolutely.
I think it is fantastic that you already have that love for processes in your daily life, because you know what they say, you trade how you live. So you could just automatically transfer that. Did you actually use technical analysis for your trading?
Well, when I first started, I did not know much about technical analysis. So I think that when I very very first, like if I'm just recalling my very very beginnings, on my own, it was more. I will say that I will describe myself more as a momentum trader at that time.
Hmm.
And so no, I did not have knowledge of technical analysis. That did not come until after I started working with a mentor. So that's when, now it's been 3 years since I've been in the market, and two with working with mentorship. And now I can say, I'm able to read a chart. I'm able to um pattern recognition. I'm able
Right.
to draw in a chart. I'm able to identify all these different things that are extremely helpful. It's like sometimes you look back and it's like, how was I even
I
trading?
just wanted to say, because that's what I was wondering, like how did you even like knew where to get in and where to get out, because we were talking about getting out. It's like just thinking, okay, it went up, so now I'm getting out, basically.
Well, it was more of a whenever I saw strength, it was like I saw strength and direction. If there was a directional move and I saw strength, I will go in and out and quickly be able to collect profit. It was more like a momentum.
Gotcha.
That I guess that's what I will say, momentum type of trading. But that was very very early in my process. And yes, so now I definitely think that technical analysis is an important aspect, because I've come across with a lot of people who say, how do you know? So this is trigger, I come in, how do you know where you're going to get out? So that's a great question, right?
Right.
So, and it comes down to tech knowing, you're right, if knowing where are your trend lines, knowing where your support and resistance is, knowing what, different patterns, the meaning of different patterns, right? If you see a double top or double bottom, what does that mean? Or what can potentially that be or take you to, right? So that's definitely a important aspect, and all of that I started learning with mentorship.
I think that also helps you to uh, kind of prepare yourself what you can expect, and then that helps you with emotions, right? If you know, okay, I can expect if I'm in a trade for, let's say, longer time, but there is a resistance in between.
Hmm.
I know I can expect some kind of pullback. I don't have to panic when I see a red
Hmm.
candle.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So that really
Exactly.
helps you with management of your emotions in that case,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Absolutely. Yes.
At what point was there any point like that when you were working and maybe you were learning the technical analysis, which for many people is they get paralysis by analysis because you get all this candles and patterns and indicators, and they throw all these things on the chart. Now they don't see the candles because there's so many lines. And at what point did you realize, okay, this is not going to be so easy as I saw in media or on Twitter? Like everyone says, oh yeah, I made million in 3 months, and then, like everyone makes millions, and you sit there and it's like, well, I don't know what they're doing, but people usually think there must be something wrong with me because everyone is making millions but me. What's wrong?
Mhm. Mhm, mhm. Um, I don't. I never. How will I put it? I've never saw it that way. I've never went on Twitter, um, seeing. Oh, I'm just. I did think that there was a potential for me to make considerable good amount of money, or even hopefully replace the money that I make through my day job. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that my approach was always very realistic as to not not really focusing on myself and my process, not going on Twitter to compare myself with whatever is going on out there. So I was just very grounded with just focusing on myself, and through my own experience realizing that it's not that it takes much more than just learning how to read a chart. And that's where the other components, the mindset, the discipline, the risk management, I had zero idea what risk management was, how to, based on your, like, knowing what's your risk tolerance based on your account size, right? Because we can
Right.
both be taking the same trade, but you might have more wiggle room than I, or you might tolerate a larger pool than I, because our account sizes are different. There are just so many intricacies, and all of those things really came to life for me and brought to and put together through mentorship. I had no idea of, sometimes one keeps repeating the same thing, and I was like, okay, I'm taking this trade, and then I go up, I go up, then I go down, I go up, and then I'm like in the same place. Why am I, what am I doing? But it was not until I had an outsider looking at what I was doing and being able to say, hey, point out, this is what's going on, and for me to be able to then understand it, in a way that I can then um change my practice, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think that is so good that you made that step to actually get someone from outside, because it's very hard when you are in the middle of something to see what is going on, right? Because imagine you're like in the washing machine and you're just being tumbled You cannot really see the colors that are in the washing machine because you're just like in between, right? It's much easier to see something when you are further away. Even reading newspaper, like, they say there's the least light is just right under the street light, right? What I also find very beautiful about your journey is that you had this sense of, self-reflection, and you were able to ground yourself as a trader while you were having your work next to it, because a lot of traders, they, like, when you talk to them, they want to replace their job, right? They hate their job and they hate the boss and they want to be free. But you said it was a possibility, maybe somewhere in the future, which automatically takes the pressure away,
Right,
right?
right. And that's very interesting because actually, and then I've had my times, right? Because I'm a human like anybody else, and I'm a social worker by profession. I'm fortunate to say that I love my profession. I like what I do. So I'm not in a job that I dislike. Um, have I had times, right, through my journey where perhaps it was time for me to move into a different position, or maybe I was, I've experienced burnout, like a lot of people in my profession or even in trading, right? But while I wanted, I was excited about the possibility of, can I make this at some point down the line into a full time thing? I was also, I feel very blessed about my job and my profession. And I this is something that I can continue to do. Whether it's now or even if I ever leave it, I can always come back to it. It's not something that I dislike. It's something that brings a lot of joy and gratification to me. So that's one. And two, and then this I want to say for a lot of people who might, be contemplating the same thing, I do feel gratitude for my job because having having it allows me to trade. I wouldn't be able to have gone through the journey that I've gone through for the last 3 years in learning to trade or invest, being involved so actively in the stock market. I've been involved in the stock market daily. That's intense.
It is.
If you really think about it, that's intense. What on top of having a full time job, having your life, being a mom, whatever else,
Right.
and financially, from a financial perspective, you know, I don't think that I will have been able to do this as dedicated and intensely as I being without having my job as a backup. Because if I would have had to worry about, oh, I don't have a job and this is all the money that I have, and my financial growth depends on solely trading, I'm gonna tell you right now, I will have been extremely stressed out.
That is the component. It's not just like making enough money to live off that helps you to trade for a living. There's this whole component. Can you release the stress of not having a secure income? Because if you have a job right now and you trade and you already feel the pressure, even though you have income coming in, but you have pressure, like, I have to make it work, I have to make, that means that you are not ready to step over because you can't even deal with the pressure when you do have the income.
Correct. I absolutely agree with you.
Imagine if you don't have that income, it's going to be double, right? So that building that immunity first, that is
And
really
understanding that, I was in I'm in this learning process, especially at the very beginning, that there are things that I need to be able to get to. It's, I say, like levels, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I accomplished this thing, now I'll go to the next level and then to the next level, and slowly. And I remember there being initially when I was like flying solo, like, so to speak, um I took on a lot of risk. I was very risky, and I was not afraid of being risky. And that, I could make a lot of money doing that, but then I could lose a lot of money doing that also.
Hmm.
And that affects it does impacts your mental health. Because it literally felt like a roller coaster. Like, I was having these ups and downs, and just being emotionally attached to um trading and my trades and the money. It almost becomes as some sort of identity. And I think that's something important to point into as well, that we are not, I'm much more than just a trader, right? And that
Right.
my success in life is not solely measured by my
How much
performance
money you
trading,
make.
or how much money do I make or not, right? And and being kind to myself, being able to say I am in this process, and if I did not had a good day, how can, and if this is affecting me emotionally, right? How can I make this not affect me this much? The only answer to that is by managing my risk better. So how do I become a better risk manager? How do I become a better money manager, right? And this is
Right.
actually a conversation that came up with my mentor recently, because I've had times where I am extremely disciplined, and it takes a lot of patience, like because I want to be a participant in the market all the time, but that's not that's not how trading works. The market is not going to give me the same thing every single day. So it becomes my job to be patient, to wait for the times that are right for me. And when I say for me, I mean not just like a technical setup, but also for me in terms of my risk tolerance, in terms of at a particular ticker. Sometimes we're trading, there's different tickers, and there's some that work best with my personality and others that don't really work with my personality. So I decide, okay, I'm going to leave this aside, right? So working with what my personality is, if I'm okay with if I need slower trades, right? Or, if where am I better? Am I better on a range day, or am I better on a directional day? It's okay to wait for the times that work best for you. And that is something that I think that especially for beginners is very important to understand. This becomes a journey of self
Discovery, I call it, right?
discovery. Yes, I
Yeah,
like that. It's like learning about yourself, and then how do you translate that into trading. Because I will tell you right now, a lot of what we do or don't do outside of trading, we carry it on into trading. And
totally. But we are much better at specifying in our life what we like and what we don't like and what suits us and then
yes,
but in trading, we kind of try to, like, especially at the beginning, you try to grab everything because you think, yeah, I just need to do that. Isn't that what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm a trader, I need to trade. So let me just place trades. That's what I'm supposed to do here. But that having that compassion and that understanding of yourself and really observing yourself, no, I can wait. This doesn't suit me. It's just like you will also not date everyone. You will pick someone who really fits your character and who you feel good with, right?
yes.
So that's the same in trading. You have to pick something that really suits you. And if you don't know what it is at the beginning, just try it out, but not with 100,000 shares. Maybe just buy one,
Exactly.
for a start.
And you know what? Even I encourage even demo accounts at the beginning. I'm gonna be really honest. I started with real money, and I was whatever I was making or losing, it was real. It was real
Yeah.
cash. But and I did that for a very long time. Like and I remember thinking, oh, it's not the same. And my emotions are not going to translate the same if I'm in demo. However, the end of 2022 and even the beginning of this year, I feel that, I mean, the market has become more challenging. And I did start it, especially because I started like dabbling into different instruments. I started using demo more. And I treated, what I discovered was that I treated as it was just a real account. And I, the emotions are still there. I'm still treating it, I traded the way that I will trade a real account. I traded with the size that I will trade a real account. I take the amount of risk that I will, I translate the whole thing. So I do find it helpful. And I think that especially for beginners, you do want to give yourself the chance to do that instead of just using your real money all the time. Or even like, sometimes I'm going back and forth between the two. Sometimes I'm testing something and I just go on demo to do so instead of doing it with my real money. It's just smart, right? Like, if things go down the hill, I am, at least I'm minimizing the amount of money that I'm putting on in the line.
No, totally. I mean, when I if I have a new strategy that I'm testing, I'm not gonna put my money on it. I'm gonna first get used to it. Or even if I change my charts or change, sometimes different testing different platform, I'm not gonna just jump in there and start trading. I'm like, I need to know how. It's not even like maybe my mind wants it, but it's the physical adjustment, right? I have to be able to execute trade in a certain way, and I have to make sure that my hand is gonna click fast enough through things, that my eyes are gonna go the right way, and not being confused. Where are the things that I need on the
Yes.
screen?
Yes. Yes. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So there,
Very
there's a
true.
lot. There's a lot that comes to, into really making trading your own, basically, right? And it does come to the process, but I think the biggest part of it is really acceptance and self-compassion. Just
Hmm.
giving yourself time, giving yourself love, stop beating yourself up. It's a really not easy thing to do. That's why not many people are, succeeding in this. And it takes time. And I really like what you said about the fulfillment, that you get fulfillment from your work,
Hmm.
because I think that's another part that is important, to have something that gives you fulfillment next to trading. You might love looking at charts, you might love trading and everything, but it is such a draining activity mentally and emotionally. You need to recharge somewhere outside of trading.
Hmm. Hmm. I absolutely agree with you. Yes, and I felt those times when I'm, between the job itself, my day job itself can also be mentally draining. It takes a lot of energy, right?
Hmm.
It takes a lot of energy when you're working with people and when you're working with mental health. That's it consumes a lot of energy, right? It's a lot of output that I put out there for my job. So when I put trading on top of that, it can take a toll. I found myself feeling so exhausted and so done at the end of the day, getting knocked out and sleep, with my lights on. But and so that reminds me of the importance of, I need to recharge, like you said, but I need to give myself lapses of times in between, right? Like, rather than me showing up to the market, because it's good to have that screen time. But it doesn't mean that you have to come to the market to trade every single day. And sometimes it means that being able to calm my mind and my nervous system, really. I find myself having to calm my nervous system, being intentional about that. I do that through meditation, or to like reducing the amount of times that I'm exposed to the market for as hard as it is, because I want to be there, but sometimes like, okay, I need to give myself a break and give some days in between. That has become more important as time has gone by. That's one of the biggest pieces that I've learned, especially as of recently, from 2022 coming into 2023.
And that's where healthy routine comes in, right? And then back to the process, because if you decide to spend the whole day in front of a charts, even if you're not trading, you're in a kind of alert position because you want to see if there's an opportunity. So even though you're not trading actively, you're still alert in that state.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. So I guess that we have to carve those times. We have to be intentional about carving times to just be off, right? Just be away, be off, be away, and doing something else.
Yeah, and not feel bad because the market will be there when you come back,
Right.
right? It's not like, okay, this is the only day that you can take a trade. There will always be opportunity. I did have myself trouble to let go, and I would force myself and go and take a nap. But then instead of sleeping, I would be sitting there with my phone, opening my platform, and then just watching the stocks. It was
On the phone,
crazy.
right?
Just what, just in case something breaks out. It was absolutely nuts. Now I just trade till 11, and after that I'm done. I close my platforms, and I sometimes do check on to see how things are going, or if there are earnings after hours. I want to know because that would mean that I might be a opportunity for next day. But it's definitely not driven by that I must know, I must be there all the time.
Exactly.
Trading can be a very lonely occupation, and right, and many traders look for some sort of community. That's where Twitter comes in.
Hmm.
Um, Someone that you can actually talk about trading, because not many people from outside of this industry really understand what you are going through, especially when you struggle, right? So they don't really know how to give you support. The best that they can do is say just quit. That's not what you want to hear, even though I understand why people who love you want you to stop trading because they see your pain. So they're like, "Look, just quit it, just cut it." On the other hand, how do you know that in this highly driven by money conditions, people truly have your best interest in mind? Like, how do you want to build community, but how do you know who to trust? And we talked a little bit about that, that really sincere and fantastic community on Twitter that we are part of, which
Hmm.
uh, which surprised me when I joined that it actually exists. But what was your experience in that area? Because you joined Twitter not so long time ago, right? 2 years ago?
It was in the January 2021. So yeah, it's been a bit over 2 years in the FinTwit community. Well, so like I said, when I first started, it was just more about sharing my progress and kind of like being uplifting to others as to this is something that is a possibility for everyone.
Hmm.
However, I also had the experience that I was involved in the market with my brother when I started as well. So that was kind of cool having that partnership with him and being able to go through struggles and being able to talk about it and be frustrated if we wanted to be frustrated, be excited if we wanted to be excited. And so that was like a to-go person that I had at home, close by, that I could share those things with. But when it comes to the social media, again, I actually found my mentor to Twitter. And it was how did I know? I mean, it came all very organically. He had reached out one day after I had posted a very heartbreaking post. I had lost like $2,000. I
Oh my gosh.
I had lost I had this trade and I went with size and I lost like $2,000 and I remember posting about it and it was on options trading and I was just heartbroken. I was like, I need how do I make that switch to avoid losing so much, right? And he had reached out, and he was extremely kind and very genuine. And he commented, and then we got to chat a little bit about my trade. He offered to look into the trade and gave me some feedback as to what had transpired and whatnot. And from that, I started checking out his services, and I actually started with a lower, like an email. It was an email service that he had, and I was learning a lot through the information from email. So I did not started with a Discord or a group. I just started like with receiving these emails and for the week with weekly information, and it included alerts and whatnot, but also it was very comprehensive into telling patterns, what is that we're looking for, kind of information that kind of helped me to learn about
Right.
what to look for, news, market information, just a flow, just a bunch of different things together in one place. And so I was still trading solo, but was using this information that was helping me understand the market and the trades and how to trade options in a more comprehensive way. So it was extremely educational. I really like that. And then eventually I transitioned into joining the group that he had. And the group, I really liked it because it was a small group, but it was also very it was like a safe place, and I think that that's key when you are in a group where you can actually share your things. There's transparency. You can share what's your everything from your good times to your bad times to your frustrations to I really messed it up today, this is what I did, and not feel like you're gonna be ashamed, or not feel like you're gonna be dragged on right. And
Yeah.
that was that's something that I found there, and it became like this extended family, so to speak. Like the people who has been in this group have been there for a very long time, and we are extremely supportive to each other, and we've grown together. And I look back now and I see, wow, like the person that started then is not the same person now. I know so much more, but I'm also able to implement and navigate myself much more better in trading than what I used to. So and that also make it to where it wasn't isolating. You see what I'm saying? Because I think that the part
Yeah.
where when I have had isolated in the past has been when I'm struggling, and I'm like, should, is it okay to say this? I'm struggling, and or I'm super red, and how am I getting myself from that emotional spectrum that can it can be really, it can get dark if it can be a dark place to be, and talking about that can be I don't know. I feel that there's been times where I felt like a sense of shame, like coming from the point of, okay, I know this. I conceptually know this. Why did I still do it? Oh, why did I repeated this thing when I know better, right? And that has been the times and the places where having that strong, cohesive community, group, and mentorship has been key, because it's hard. It's hard, and being able to face myself and accept, yes, it is hard. It was hard. This is what I'm feeling, and it is okay. I can allow myself to feel this right now, and I can walk you through with my mentor tomorrow, and it's gonna be okay. We can make a plan for this. And he has been always been very encouraging to myself and others, with just being there, like being able to be supportive without being without bashing you down. It's just like
Yeah, because we do it ourselves enough, right?
right.
And that shame feeling bring you in a really dark places, because a lot of times it's connected to all other emotions and experiences from the past. And the
Hmm.
moment that you are on your own, there is no sense of that vulnerability where
Hmm.
you kind of think you have to deal with it on your own, right? You feel alone, and then you go down that spiral, because now you start calling yourself names, and it just becomes, you go deeper and deeper. When you have the community where you can actually share what you're feeling, what you're going through, and also hear from other people that they're going through the same thing, you have much more compassion for yourself, because you know, okay, this is not just me, right? It is just pretty difficult thing to accomplish, and there's nothing wrong with me. I just have a difficult time. So bringing up that compassion for yourself, and that love we talked about, it's much easier when you have, when you receive love from others, right? Because in that community, that's what you get. If you have a community you trust, especially, I think what you mentioned about the size of the community, that's really key. That it is not, 1,000 people in a chat just all telling you that they make money, because that makes you feel even worse about yourself when you're losing, right? Again, it's like, how are they doing it? Like, what am I doing wrong here?
Right. Right.
So when you have people that you can actually hear from, and you know that they are there to support you, it creates this extra backup if you feel a little bit less.
And accountability, change starts there. When I've had times where I've been able to say, hey, I did this today, this transpire. I'm just not at the best place, but I'm being honest and transparent about what went through. The first thing I realized is that it opens the doors, it gives permission for others to do the same, to say, you know what, I've been going through this too, right? So you can relate, you can share those experiences, and then you can grow from them. You can actually, we keep ourselves accountable, and then we are actually able to say, let's make a plan for this. How can we make it to where we are not repeating the same pattern? Or if this is a pattern, my mentor might come and say, okay, let's just get on a one-on-one, and let's just come up with a plan to address this particular issue. And like you mentioned, the size, I think it has been great, because the size of the group, because he there's a very personal relationship between my mentorship, myself, and my mentorship and the rest of the
Group.
participants in the
Hmm.
group. And it's so interesting because he knows us by our personalities. Like, he knows our personalities, he knows how we operate, he knows our weaknesses, he knows our strengths, and he is able to very individualized, cater to those things. So it's funny because sometimes it's like, oh, he has insight into each one's of us account size, what we struggle and whatnot. So he's able to say, hey, we're looking into this is the reason why I'm looking into this, but I encourage those with a small size account, this is not the play for it, right? For
Right.
example. And that's very that becomes important when you are in the process of learning, identifying, okay, what's the trait that you can actually tolerate, and what's the trait that you can't. Not all are in the same level of experience or even personality, like you said before. So it has made it to where I feel I'm definitely a much better trader, and I can have more self control with having that accountability from the group than if I was solo. When you're solo, you think, oh, nobody's watching you, and you just keep repeating the same stuff over and over and over. But when you have somebody who's watching, they can point out, hey, look at this, or remember when you said this, remember that you're struggling with this. So it becomes very, very nice to have.
Yeah, and you know that, like, nobody, normally when you trade on your own, nobody's watching you, but in fact, you are watching yourself. The only problem is that we lie to ourselves, and we don't want to admit that, okay, now I'm convincing myself to do something that I said I wouldn't, right? So having that sense of integrity, it is easier when you have another person that you say, okay, I'm going to promise to you, because we tend to have more integrity with other people than we have with ourselves. And that's back to that, building the relationship with yourself based on love, compassion, and integrity.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And facing, I wanted to add to what you just said. That point, um, I've been able to, and it's been happening recently. I actually were through this year, I've been working on learning a new instrument, right? So I went from options into looking into futures, and so it's relatively new for me. I've been going through some evaluations as well, and I have yet to pass them. So in all
That's
transparency here.
exciting.
Yeah, it's been exciting. It's been a good experience, but I have not been able to pass the evaluation yet. I've actually flunked them, and and that's something that I will be sharing more on my Twitter page of. But what I wanted to say is like being able to face myself, having somebody who say, "Hey, look at this in the mirror, what is going on," even outside of trading. You are a good trader. And these are the words that my mentor said to me recently too. I was like, you are a good trader, and you are being a poor money manager currently. Is there And then that trigger, that thought of what is going on in my life financially outside of trading right now. Is there holes? Is there places where I'm neglecting? Right. And so it kind of like put me in a situation where it's like, let me take a look deeper at what's going on. And that I'm super grateful for that, because yes, it's completely right. I think I am being a poor money manager at this time. I'm doing it in these other areas in my life. So let me stop for a second, step
Let me
back,
fix
let
that.
me fix this, so that then I can come with a clearer mind into the market to do the things that I know that works, and eh, present with the discipline that I need to present in order to be able to do this successfully, right? So yes, it's just part of the process, and I just love that. I'm extremely grateful to have that.
That's awesome. And so, for those of you guys who are listening and you don't have a community, what I would recommend is connect with our guest on Twitter, Curlygal Investor. And that's a good way to start building community, right?
Of
And of
course, you
course,
will
feel
find this. You have to like sweep through the Twitter world, but you can definitely find. There's definitely good people out there. I've been um honored enough to come across with really good people that I've been able to exchange DMs and speak to privately, and or others that just like that are walking through my same steps, right?
Mhm.
That might or might not be struggling, and we just connect and exchange ideas and support each other. And I think that that's what social media is supposed to be about in the first place,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. And it's the moment that I started to reach out to people, I started getting the same type of people as I am, who have the same value, who really like the genuine connection, and that community started to grow. And as you say, I came across so many wonderful people,
Yes.
and yourself, of course. And now we are
Yes.
connecting on a
Thank
personal
you.
basis.
Likewise.
So that is just wonderful. So don't sit in your cave, but just get out of your shell and put yourself out there. Vulnerability is something that you need as a trader, because that's what the market requires. You have to be vulnerable and you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And yes, you might be hurt, but that's exactly what the market does. It throws challenges at you, and sometimes you take a loss, right? So you have to be willing to take that hit. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the key is that it will not take you off your feet, but that is in your control. That is that risk management, and money management, right?
Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely.
this was really fantastic. I so enjoyed talking with you, and you have brought up so many great points that I think will really help people to get some different perspective about failure and about how to go through that journey, and more compassion. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, and I think you put it in such beautiful words how you did
Thank you,
that.
thank you. You know what, Agnieszka? I was thinking it is very interesting because when we see when in the conversation of success versus failure, when we see or when we think about the people that we look up to that are successful in whatever area it might be, right? What people don't see is what it took for them to get there. And people think, oh, this is just something that, he's just successful. No, it did not just, came to be
It didn't
that way.
fall into
For
his
a lot
lap.
of these people, this came with 5, 10, 15 years of hard work, right? If I think of okay, let's just say, myself in my profession as a social worker, I'm 15 years in social work. I'm not, the social worker who started on that first year post grad is not the same person, right? It doesn't have the same
Right.
skills or abilities as the person right now sitting in front of you. And that is very important. I think that that's why sharing that process and being willing to say I failed, or I mean, is it really failure if it takes 5 times for me to fall to then accomplish the level of success that I am aiming for? Is it really failure? No, it's just failure is just part of the journey to success. And I think that we have to have that in perspective when we are trying to, compare ourselves to others out there. We don't know where in their journey they are at. When you see people who have succeeded, this took a lot of behind the scenes that you have yet to see, right? So
Right.
I hope through me sharing my journey and the ups and downs, that people can get a better grasp that this is what real trading looks like. It's not peaches and creams
Exactly.
every single
Yeah, and failing is really feedback. And I have to think about this last launch from Starlink, from Elon Musk. Um, they were laughing on TV that eventually it exploded,
yeah.
but the team said it was supposed
It
to
was an
explode.
accomplishment. It was
It
it
was
was it was a
absolutely.
great accomplishment. All the information that they were able to get from that launch.
Exactly. So that's what the
Mhm.
failure, it's not really a failure. It's like when you fall, you have to learn from it. And if you don't take the lesson, yeah, then it's a wasted time, right? So instead of beating yourself up, just sit down, look through your charts, see, journal what you did that you can improve next time, what you did good, because there's always something good that you did. It's not like, it's not just, oh, I lost money, I don't want to look at this anymore. No, that's a waste of money. Now you don't take the lesson. At least if you paid, take the lesson.
Exactly. Take the lesson. That I love that. I love how you put that there.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of this episode, and I really hope that this discussion, which was fantastic, and thank you so much for that, will help traders who are listening to gain some new perspectives and also encourage them to look at the trading journey from, I would say, more realistic point of view, right? Because for most traders, it is really not the world of Ferraris and cocktails on a private yacht. To make this journey successful, you need to demand a lot from yourself. So, wherever you are in your journey, you need to ask yourself, can you commit to that demand?
Yes. That's a great question.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Curlygal Investor, and for this candid conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your experience and your point of views, which are so valuable. So thank you. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. If you enjoy my show, please review it and rate it on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to subscribe so you can come back for a real-life conversation in the next episode. Until then, this is Agnieszka Wood from A Head Coach, and don't forget, you too can realize your dream without losing yourself and your confidence in the process.